hand speaking. That is what is recorded in the history. The whole year the Kawaka just make one bearded, smelly white man. I mean, speaking in the shower, he was coming all the way from the coast. The only thing we knew yesterday, the whole Kawaka of Uganda, was that he met this one lonely, lost wife. How is that possible? How is it possible? Then they teach us in primary school. Stanley passed Karagwe, he met Manika, he went to Mbarara, he's a slave. He was like 15. But because my life was the Bible, and the Bible of our people depended on it, I had to back up. I had to go into genetics, I had to go into mathematics to try and understand it. Not only understand it, understand it, so that they can explain it to someone. When I understand it, going under the table, I want to stand top. When I'm ready to go, I'm not going to leave no stone unturned and turn every stone twice.
Your ancestors in the world that you created were able, with very little knowledge. They didn't know the European, they didn't study the living nature. Shakespeare did not know about Ra. Yeah, Sandra did not go to school to learn philosophy, to learn military strategy, to learn whatever. Yet in most of the time, they outfought, outgeneraled, outfronted some of the best military genius that Europe had ever possessed. Do that at the time. If they were able to do that at the time, what about you? Who's got a phone? Who's got a fax? You don't only have a phone, you have a fax and a mobile phone.
Every 5 seconds, a child is dying of malaria in Africa. Now, to get the dose of life-saving anti-malaria is about $5. But there is no government to give anti-malaria. When somebody gets malaria, if they have no money, they get ill and die. So the question that I was asking, and many people were asking, was, if you really want to help children, why begin with a disease that they don't have? Why not go Why not look for something that is killing them? This is Oxford, Cambridge, where you go to get this degree, where you get the first degree, which is a BA, bachelor's degree. You know, they don't believe in marriage. So they don't, you know, the only thing they can give you is a bachelor's degree. You know? Because you can stumble on a conference like this and get shocked when a few ideas are thrown in your head. I don't believe what Nana Sekmet said. I don't believe that kind of stuff. It's okay. You know, they teach you how to critique, not to believe anything. You know, when they say, they say, what do you think about black people building their own institutions? You say, well, it has its own advantages and disadvantages. The high culture of Egyptian civilization that starts around the Nile Valley eventually ends up here in the Giza Plateau, in the pyramids of Giza, one of the highest high technical civilizations that African people put together, starting all the way from Uganda, covering present-day Sudan, and going up here in Egypt. established that more than 7 million years ago, a black woman stretched forth her hands under God and gave us the first human being. In the beginning was a black woman. This black woman lived at the foothills of the mountains of the moon. This black woman lived in the Iracrostan region, known in ancient time as the land of the gods. This black woman lived at the source of the Nile. This black woman lived between the two domes of the Great Rift Valley. This black woman's genes run through the genes of every human being. This black woman's DNA is the string that connects every person that walks on earth. That is why we say that let him that is worthy be worthy still, and let him that is righteous be righteous still. So behold, I come quickly. My reward is with me to give unto every man and woman for and according to his reward should be. For in the beginning was a black woman. This woman gave rise to a human. Never was a time when a black woman was not. Never will be time when black people will cease to be. Because we are eternal, my brothers and sisters. I don't speak much until I have performed the libation. Libation is an African practice where you call on the energies that exist around the earth in your ancestors and on the Creator to come and be with you as you impart words of wisdom and deal with different issues and polemics that affects African people. So African people always had water and they poured it on the ground. You know, they say in the beginning there was water. A child doesn't get conceived until some water gets into the womb of a woman. When the child is conceived, the child sits comfortably in a sea of water. Even before birth, the first sign that birth is about to take place is the breaking of the water. When you are born, over 70% of your body is water. And really, if you don't take 5 liters of water every day, you know you're in trouble, you'll be dehydrated, you won't even be able to finish the university or to do something useful for your continent. So I begin by saying that in the name of the Creator, that He is revealed to all and known by many names. In the name of our ancestors, whose legacy we must all bear. In the name of the African people, that they were the first people to populate the earth. In the name of the Twa people, that left the foothills of the mountains of the moon, here in the land of the gods, and followed the Nile, that in ancient time was called Happy, from which the English, who are always good at stealing everything, stole the word happiness. In the name of the Twa people that moved into the Sudan and present-day Ethiopia and established the kingdoms of Napata. In the name of Nama, the Ethiopian king of kings that would unite Lower Kemet and Upper Kemet to give us the nation of Kemet, which the Greeks called Egypt, which the Arabs called Misri, and the Hebrews called Mizraim. In the name of the African people, the Gromordi, that were the first people to populate Europe. In the name of African people, the Bika, who are darker than most of you that populated England before the British. In the name of the African people, known as the Dravidians, that populated India before the current day Indians, who built the civilizations of Harappa, that taught the world how to bathe and how to have toilets inside their houses. In the name of the original people of Japan, known as the Masawa Negroes, that left Western Uganda and Eastern Kenya. That's why Japanese names are like Ugandan names, Takahara, Nakamura, Kato, Toyota, because they came from here. In the name of the people you haven't studied, like the Semans of China, that built the ancient kingdom of the Chinese. In the name of the families, the great dynasties like that of Kamehameha of Hawaii. In the name of the Mankopis of Andaman Island.
in the name of the African people that populated Australia before Captain Cook got there. The Waramunga, the Kaheka, the Paripari, the Waramunga woman who could run faster than a horse, and the Waramunga man who could swim 50 kilometers in the dark using his testicles as navigation aids. In the name of African people that were in America before Columbus, in the name of the African people, and African heroes and sheroes that you've never heard about, in the name of Thutmose, in the name of Ramses, in the name of Menkura, in the name of Shaolin, in the name of Akhenaten, in the name of Shaka, in the name of African people that liberated Haiti, people like Toussaint Louverture, people like Peugeot, people like Desilets, in the name of Zumbi, of Bahia and Palmares, in the name of Louis Gama, a brother who was caught, and before they asked him if he had anything to say before the Portuguese hanged him, and he said, I came here to hang and not to make a speech. In the name of Gabriel Prosser, in the name of Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, in the name of Elijah Muhammad, in the name of African heroes and sheroes that built high technical civilizations, that formed the foundation of civilization that we see today. I said to you that let him that is worthy be worthy still. Let him that is righteous be righteous still. For behold, I come quickly, my reward is with me, to give unto every man and woman for and according to his reward should be. For in the beginning was a black woman. This woman gave rise to all human. Never was a time when black people were not, and never will be time when black people will cease to be, because we are eternal, my brothers and sisters. Hotep, thank you very much. You may sit down. Before I begin, I want to pay tribute to some of the people that I've come with. Professor James Allen, who is a professor of politics and history at College of New Rochelle in New York, a Pan-African activist, an expert on Nile Valley civilization, who is in Uganda, I think for the third time now, and he will be leading a group of students and academics to come and study the Nile Valley from the south. The brother is very solid, and I feel honored that he could accept to come with me and be on the same platform as me, and also to share some of the ideas and experiences that he has with you today. So brothers and sisters, put your hands together for Professor James Allen. I also have Professor Katongole, who is from Mkozi University. Dr. Katongole is lived in Europe for a long time, in Germany, and he got tired by watching all these depigmented albino mutants, and he decided to come back home and give his knowledge to African people. He now teaches at the Christian University, the Uganda Matters University of Mkozi, who together with Professor Kanyandago has been really at the center of the African Renaissance in that university. Please put your hands together for Professor. Then I want to introduce my wife, Washinda Bonera. Most people say that I married a white woman. The white woman they are talking about is there. Can you stand up, please? If I get as many white women as this one, then I will dictate my African chiefs and marry 20 and 30 wives. Don't tell that to my wife. But people say that because my wife was born in England. Her family was kidnapped from Africa in about the 16th century by body snatchers from Europe and taken to the Caribbean island, particularly the island of Grenada. And I also liberated her and kidnapped her from the British. Except since I'm a very handsome man, it It was a very easy kidnap. It was in the past, I would say that I'm happy to be here and to be addressing you students from different universities. But I'm not going to say that. I'm not happy to be here. I came because I had promised that I would come. I have no hope in you at all whatsoever that you are going to listen to me and translate what I have got to discuss and pass on to you into formidable action for African people. I'm not even convinced that you want to be African. When I look at you, you don't look African at all. You could be in any town. You could be in New York. Your hair doesn't look African, most of you sisters. Now you, where did you get these suits from? How do you show up here? You hear I'm coming to speak and you come with a rope around your neck. What kind of wisdom is that now? I have not called you here for a hanging so that you say, I'll make it easier for you. Let me put one noose on my neck so that by the time you tie me to a tree, you are getting ready to hang another person. What makes you think that when you wear European clothes you are smart or you are well dressed? Who told you that? And some of you are not only students, you are student leaders. If I ask some of you, you study economics. Whatever economics teacher you have, he must tell you that every time you buy clothes from Europe or the Thai or the Chinese, the money goes to Thailand, the money goes to China, and the money goes to Europe. It doesn't remain in Kenya or in Tanzania. Now, when you deplete your country of its resources by buying clothes from Europe, then you show up on the door of some company asking for a job. Because I don't believe that you will even create jobs for yourselves. Surely, the majority of you will be looking for jobs. And thank God you'll be looking for a long time. I have met recently students that studied project planning and development. Money paid for by their own parents who never went to school, no university degree, and they are looking for jobs. What did you study? Project planning and development. How long have you been unemployed? 3 years. What do the companies tell you? They tell me there are no jobs. What did you study again? Project planning. I have a certificate. Let me show you. What kind of university is that? That turns out a student who has studied project planning and development and is looking for a job. I wouldn't do that. I would go home and dig a hole and hide myself there. So that is why I had given up lectures at universities. I gave lectures here before, 4 years ago. Thousands of students stand up and clap, cheer and cry. This is not a popularity contest. I'm not here that you like me. If you hate me, nothing will happen to me. You don't even have the capacity to organize anything to affect my path. So whether you like me or not, what will it do to me? I am here to make you angry. Because you make me angry when I see you. Just take an example of a beautiful black woman like you. I know other lecturers wouldn't pick on a person and say, you, yes, me, I'm picking you. You were born with beautiful hair. Good hair. Black people's hair is called peppercorn hair or kinky hair or Jesus hair. Because according to the Bible, in the book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 14 to 15, it says Jesus had hair like lamb's wool and feet as black as burnished bronze. So I can call you a black hair, Jesus hair. soaps from Brazil, from America, every day. On a television that we call television, what it tells you is lies. Television, a vision that tells you lies. Now, you pick your strong hair, you want to destroy it, because hair is made up of dead keratinized cells. Keratin is a form of protein, so it grows. Black people's hair is linked together by what they call in biology polypeptide links. It gives off a curly shape, strong shape. In order to break that strong hair, you use strong chemicals like hydrogen peroxide, an industrial chemical used to take horns of animals. And they find you sitting in the dryer looking like good afternoon. Now, listen to me. Stop laughing. I'm going to walk out if you laugh. It would have been bizarre enough if this act of degradation was free, but you even pay for it. It has gone beyond this now. You hate yourself so much, you want even to wash your face with jig, with urine, so you can have a white skin, because you believe white is good. In America, they had a rhyme. Professor James can tell us if it's still there. If you are white, you are right. If you are brown, stick around. If you are yellow, you are mellow. And if you are black, go back. Is it still there? And then, of course, you went to school and sang, Baba, black sheep, have you in the wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. From time, in your education system, black is always painted and shown as ugly, and white is always painted and shown as beautiful. If I want to cheat you, I will blackmail you. If I want to put you on a bad list, I will blacklist you. If you're a bad member of the family, you're a black sheep of the family. If it's a bad trading day, it's a black day. If it's a dangerous spot on the road, it's a black spot. And don't tell me you don't wear black for funerals and white for weddings. So white is seen as right. And if I move with you to your homes, all the pictures on your wall show God as white and show the devil as black. Now if I ask some of you, Christians, you'd put up your hand. How many of you are Christians? Put up your hand. Christian, don't be afraid. It's a good thing to be a Christian. Good thing. Okay? But the beauty of a Christian, one of the beauties of a Christian is to fight the devil, isn't it? So if the devil is black, who are you going to fight? You're going to fight black people. You're going to fight yourself. Because the devil is black. And who are you going to save? You are going to save white people. So we hate ourselves. It is part of being black that you hate yourself. You don't like yourself. You like white. Because white people, they don't need to advertise themselves. They have Jesus. Jesus. Every time you see a white person, he looks like a cousin of Jesus in your church. So, I mean, who would not want to be with a cousin of Jesus? A white person can go in a hotel dressed in any way. Nobody will turn him out. A white person can go in parliament. Nobody will turn him out. Because he looks like Jesus. Because he looks like God, and all of you sit here with that image of white being equal to God. That equation. So you hate yourself. You hate your blackness. And it is natural when you hate something that you move away from what you hate. Is it not natural? You move away from your blackness. So everywhere in Kenya, I went to film in Kenya, I was told I could not drive from Nairobi to the north in Turkana. I wanted to go to northern to Turkana area, near the border with Ethiopia. I was told I couldn't go there unless I go in a government escort. Because in Nairobi, you kill each other. Do you know that even the Sabao, the target practice in the army, they use a black head. Pool. All of you play the game of billiard pool. You know pool? Snooker? You know snooker? Haven't you played this since you came to the university? How could you miss such a beautiful game? On this beautiful game, you have a table that is green, representing the earth. You have a white ball, representing the balls of a male. And then you have other colored balls. Red, representing red people, the Native Americans that were wiped out. The Rapaho, the Arawak, the Namahoc, the Tiano, the Pocomo Sioux, the Gurunchi, the Caribs, all killed on that table. Red. Yellow, representing Asiatic. To win, the white ball knocks all the colored balls under the table. The white ball, representing white people, knocks all the colored balls under the table. So, it is natural, therefore, that we hate ourselves, that we fight ourselves on the street, that we are violent towards each other, but not violent towards people who don't look like us. And then they have invented all these things, all these phrases to make you afraid. If you're an academic and you speak like I speak, they say you are a radical. They say you are racist. They give you all these expressions. Me, I don't care. You can call me radical. I'd be quite happy to call me radical. These are radical times. They require radical people. If you're afraid of radical, you get out of the room. I'm quite happy to be called racist. Racist means prejudice plus power. Prejudice comes from the Latin word prejudicium, which means to prejudge, to judge before the fact. A person who plays the piano is a pianist. A person who practices art is an artist. A person who fights for his race can be called a racist. So I'm not that scared. But you hate yourself because you don't know yourself. What you know about yourself is what they teach you in these higher institutions of learning. And I can tell you, it is not a lot. You study for a bachelor's degree. Am I right? You're all studying for bachelor's degree? Yeah? Even if you are married, you'd still be studying for a bachelor's degree, wouldn't you? Even married people get it. But it is one degree. How many degrees are there? Who can tell me? Put up your hand if you can tell. How many degrees? How many? 360 degrees. Out of 360 degrees, some of you are comfortable having one degree. You walk away with it, I'm happy. I got a bachelor's degree. Some of you are happy getting a master's degree. Master's degree means a master, apostrophe S. That a master has confirmed that this is my degree and you are a slave. Everything you write you have to quote. Not only quote the master in full names, but the book where you read it, the year when it was published and the time. You have to stay right in and stay in line. Now, when you come to these institutions of learning, the knowledge they impart to you is certainly not enough. It is knowledge like this. All of you have seen a map of the world. Have you all seen a map of the world? Have you all seen this map of the world? Now, those of you who have not heard me speak before, who can tell me what's wrong with this map? Somebody from Kenya. Kenya, do you see anything strange about this map? The same map that is in the wall of your army generals. The same map that is in the office of my Kibaki. Is Kibaki still president of Kenya? Same map. From Tanzania? Have we got a volunteer from Tanzania? Okay, tell me, what do you think of this map, sir?
Thank you very much. I think the map of Africa has so many visions. That means so many countries in Africa.
Okay, thank you. This is a wrong map of the world. It's wrong. It is totally inaccurate. It is a lie. It's a falsehood. This map of the world, look, a country called Greenland. You see Greenland? Huh? It is almost bigger than South America. On this map of the world, Africa is almost the size of North America and almost the size of the United States of America. On this map, India is smaller than Europe. And this is the map that you grew up with from childhood. In reality, the right map of the world looks quite different. The right map of the world looks like this. It looks like this. This is called the Peters projection map. This, you might be too far to see this, but let me explain. Greenland is 0.7 million square miles. South America is 6.8 million square miles. Yet on the map I've shown you, which you have in your university, Greenland is shown bigger than South America. Whereas South America is almost 10 times bigger than Greenland. On the map that I show you, Europe is bigger than India. And they call Europe a continent and India a subcontinent. In reality, India is 11 times the size of Europe, and Europe is not a continent because a continent in your geography is massive landmass surrounded by water, and Europe is neither massive nor surrounded by water. Actually, DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, is bigger than Europe. Yes. It's bigger than the so-called Western Europe. Well, Western Europe, what the other Europe then? West of where? West of where? They show America almost the same size as Africa. It is a wrong map. To the extent that the United Nations had to commission another map, the Peters projection map, that shows the countries of the world in actual size, in actual relationship to their size. So here, Greenland almost disappears on the map. It almost disappears, and South America becomes big. Then North America, Africa, you can fit 4 United States of America, and there'll still be room for you to play snooker. India is shown bigger. But from childhood to today, you have never had this. Never even thought of it yourself. Never even gone to say, let me see the size of these countries and approximate them. I'm here to tell you, my brothers and sisters, that knowledge is power. That money is not power. That land is the basis of independence, freedom, justice, and righteousness, but it's not power. But knowledge is power. Knowledge. We are the only people in Africa that can't rightfully answer as to who we are. We can't. If I asked you now and I say, what are you? If I ask, let me take an example. You, my brother, in a black tie. What do you think you are here for? Why do you think you have life?
I have a calling to serve my society and the entire community in either possible way I can afford. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me ask somebody from Tanzania. Can I have that? Yes, sir. What do you think you are here? What do you think about life? What's your mission in life?
What I can say that being here, first, there is a purpose of God for me to be here. So I'm not here by accident. So there is a mission for me,
God,
even if I don't know.
You have a mission.
Yes.
God sent you here, you are saying.
Not being here, that having a life.
Yeah.
And that means there is a purpose.
God is grand and reason.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
has he communicated this reason to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
What does he want you to do?
To serve him.
To serve God.
Yes.
You're a kind of servant.
I'm a servant of God, yeah. That
He's
I can
what kind of
say.
servant of God. Put up your hand, those of you who think you are servants of God. Put up your hand. Servants. Please, servants, don't be afraid. It's also a profession. Yes,
serve others more than myself.
You should love others. That's a good God. What's his name? I need that one. He's a good God, that one. What's his name?
Good.
Yeah, maybe. No, it's God, but what is his name?
Good. Yeah.
Okay. Now, first of all, African people now do not have, the majority of African people now do not have what we could call a philosophy. Their philosophy is the Bible and the Quran. The Bible and the Quran. Most of you have seen a book called the Bible, and most of you, particularly from Tanzania, have seen a book called the Quran. You call it the Holy Bible. Some of you call it even the Bible. I want to say something very quickly about these two books. The Bible, it is not the Bible, it is a Bible. Why do I say it is a Bible? Because there are over 3,000 versions, 3,000 different versions of the Bible or a Bible. Those of you who know of Bibles or who know of God as revealed through the Bible, I want to tell you there are no white people in the Bible until toward the end. When Saul, who called himself Paul, is writing to them saying, you bad people, change your ways. Stop stealing. Stop killing each other. There are no white people in the Bible until toward the end. I would challenge any of you to stand up and say, yes, there are white people here, like in the Old Testament, that these are white people. There are none. That book opens in Africa. It opens where? The book opens in Africa. Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible. I'm sure you know that. It said the first book of Genesis called Moses, and you know where Moses was found? He was found in the river Nile. The Nile that starts here in Uganda. We are now quarreling over it with other countries, Congo and Rwanda and some other countries. Moses was no different from you. He was educated in Africa, according to the Bible in the book of Acts chapter 7 verse 22. It says Moses was knowledgeable in all the ancient knowledge of the Egyptians, and he was mighty in words and deeds. Acts 7, 42. 22, not 42, 22. In the Bible, they mention Egypt over 722 times. In the Bible, they mention Ethiopia over 37 times. In fact, in the book of 2 Chronicles of the Kings, chapter 14, verse 8, they say Asa, the Ethiopian, came against Judea with an army of 1,000,000 men and 360 Ethiopian battle chariots. Each battle chariot was dragged by 36 horses. The food for the horses alone would be enough to cripple a country like Kenya today, or Tanzania, or tiny Uganda. In the book of Acts, I think it's chapter 7, when they say Philip baptizes an Enoch, they talk of an Ethiopian foreign minister who was on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. And they say, as he sat in his chariot, he was reading from the prophet Isaiah. The Bible says he was actually a finance minister of the Queen of Ethiopia, who was known as the Kandake. Now, I don't know where you get your Bibles from, but I have looked at the Bible, studied it carefully. There are no white people there. The book of Luke says, out of Egypt, I called my son. The God in the Bible saying, out of Egypt. And you know, every time Jesus had trouble, he would run to Egypt to hide amongst his cousins. And the ancient Egyptians were black people. Now, I want to tell you about black. First of all, I want all of you to touch your skin like this. What you are touching is called melanin. I'm going to go a little bit faster to save time and to allow other people to contribute. What you are touching is called melanin. It's a black skin pigmentation. Melanin is the most beautiful thing you can have. If you have no melanin, if I had no melanin, in fact, if I was as dark as you, I wouldn't even wear clothes. I'd walk like the Bokot and the Karamajong, showing the whole world what I have. Melanin is bigger than gold, bigger than diamond. You can equate gold and diamond with melanin. Actually, diamond comes from carbon 14 and melatonin, you will find over 70,000 entries under melatonin. Something you have never heard in the whole world, people selling melatonin. For melatonin to produce melanin, it needs a catalyst enzyme we call tyrosinase. If you have no tyrosinase, you can't have melanin. You can pray to God, you can even shout to Allah, but there will be no melanin for you. Tyrosinase, particularly tyrosinase 7, is a catalyst enzyme that energizes melatonin produce melanin. Once you have melanin, melanin is responsible for how you walk, how you talk. Melanin controls your sleeping cycle, so you can get sleep. Melanin controls your fatigue. You can travel from here to Australia. You come out of Australia and give a lecture, you won't be sleepy because of melanin. Melanin also gives you dominant genes. You biologists and scientists, you know about Mendel, Gregor Mendel, Austrian scientist born in 1822. Mendel carried out different studies with species looking at dominant genes and recessive genes. In the end, Mendel concluded that a recessive gene can never produce a dominant gene. Mendel is the origin of genetics. You have all got genes. Your mother and father contributes nuclear DNA. 50% from the mother, 50% from the father. Now, there are other genes that are passed on directly. Most of these nuclear DNA or these genes, they go through a hybridization. They mix and form one component that becomes that child. But there are certain genes that are passed directly, like the Y chromosome comes from the father directly to the child. Mitochondria DNA, mito from Greek mother, comes directly from the mother to the child. All that is from the study of Mendel. At the time Mendel was carrying out the study, white people were showing and proving without evidence that they were the first people to populate the earth. They started digging the whole of Europe. The oldest they could go was 80,000 years with the Neanderthal. Neanderthal from the town Neander Valley near the town of Düsseldorf in Germany. 80,000 years. Then they found Homo sapiens sapien, the oldest black people in Europe, who populated Europe 40,000 years. They are known as the Gromordi. The remains of the black Gromordi are now in the Museum of Monaco near the town of Monte Carlo. When they couldn't find any ancient person in Europe, do you know what they did? First they went to Asia. The oldest they could go was 900,000 years with the Peking scar, with the Peking man. And the Java man was later discounted that it wasn't human, but they found the Peking scar and they gave it a carbon date of 900,000 years. They said the oldest person now is from Asia. And then Raymond Dart, 1922, discovered in South Africa the Tautang scar, given a date of 2.5 million years. White people started screaming. When Licker discovered the Zenjanthropus, which was later called a different name, and the Ritori print, and the Homo habilis, given the carbon dated 3 million years, they started running. Then, when Licker again, together with Kameya Kimeyu, discovered near Naria Katome, near Lake Turkana, the Homo erectus, the African child at the age of 11 that was drowned. And as he fell in the water, wind pushed another tree and it covered him. And he lay there full skeleton until recently. And he was given a death of 1.5 million years. And in Omo Valley in Ethiopia and Kenya, they discovered modern man, Homo sapien, gave him 150,000 years. White people say we are finished. We have told these people we were the first people, we white people. Now, everywhere they dig, they find a person more ancient than us. What do we do? They did what white people do every day. They get an ancient skeleton, they put it in the Alps River in Surrey, and they discovered it. They called it the Piltdown Man. They chose one of the most leading geologists of his time, an eminent lawyer known as Lord Dawson. Lord Dawson, then they got Arthur Woodward, cameras. They called him the Piltdown man. They said when he lived, he was tall. He was, of course, white skinned. That he had a huge white nose that would look for gold in Kenya, and when he doesn't find it, he turns it to Tanzania. And they called it the Piltdown man. Until 1949, when WAHENE, who worked at Oxford with Oakley, they took the skeleton of this forgery, of this fakery, and tested it to find the amount of chloride in the top part of the jaw to see if it mounted, the chloride in the cranium, if it matched that of the lower jaw. They found it was different, that the fossil was coined by getting a cranium or a forehead of a modern man with the jawbone of a monkey, and it was put together by excellent forgers and discovered in 1912. So white people considered at the time that humanity did not begin in Europe or in Asia, but it started in Africa.